Welcome to the Keep Going podcast. We got a special treat today. We got Celine the Dream all the way from Germany. Come on now. She flew all the way here. No, she actually lives here, but so happy to have you. Welcome to the show.
I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you, Keaton.
You're not nervous at all, right?
No, just a little bit.
As she goes like this. But anyways, you got an incredible story. I heard brief highlights of it. Would love to know more about what your story is and share that with the people at home. So we can start back to when you were a kid and how your journey to get here and your health and wellness started.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I am born in Germany along with my brothers and I. My mom came with 6 suitcases. Myself and my brothers, we were literally kids, still all in diapers. Wow. We came to the States. A lot of people ask, what was the reason? And my mom, unfortunately, she was with my real father, who's Muslim Turkish. And I'm not someone who overgeneralizes, but she happened to be with someone that was not the best for her and nor best for my brothers and I. And so her importance of getting us to the States was into safety from my father, who was very abusive and all of the above. And so she came with only $1,200 in her pocket.
Dang.
And we actually started living in a shelter when we landed here in the States, in Texas specifically. We were in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And it was called the Good Shepherd's Mission.
Yeah.
And so they took in men, women, families.
Yeah.
And then that is where she met my stepfather.
Wow.
And she ended up marrying him 3 months after dating.
Oh
it was very quick. And, she had a tendency of just not attracting the best people for her. And I'm not someone that wants to talk bad on him or anything, but unfortunately, he also was not the best person for her.
Right.
And, it all started when they met, they got married, and then he's like, hey, I have family in California. So I always get asked, like, how'd you end up in California? Well, he was the reason we ended up in California. He had family out here, and so we moved over here, and honestly, that's kind of just how our downfall happened. Ever since we came from Germany to the States, my mom had a really hard time finding a sense of stability and financial stability. Right. Unfortunately, my stepfather wasn't providing that for us, and so growing up, it was actually my mom being the breadwinner of the family. She was the one working, and again, living in Orange County is quite expensive, and so we moved from like motel to motel. At one point we were in shelters. And that kind of just happened my whole childhood up until, high school. But what a lot of people don't know is, I want to say when I was 10 years old, Nancy Pelosi, her daughter Alexandra Pelosi, actually came from New York to Orange County because she was given a project to put together a documentary highlighting homelessness in Orange County. Yeah. And my family and I actually happened to be a part of that documentary in showcasing the real struggles that, these families had to endure, living in a motel, dealing with mental illnesses. Unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed with bipolar when she was a kid. And so, not only were we dealing with homelessness, but we were dealing with my mom, who struggled being able to regulate her emotions. And again, I don't put anything against her. Having done research and trying to really understand my mom and, having bipolar, I don't hold anything against her for what happened as a kid. But just imagine living in 4 walls. Right. It's your stepdad, your mom, and then it was 4 of us kids in one room.
Wow.
2 beds.
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
And again, up until high school, it wasn't until when I was 16 years old is, again, going back to my mom not knowing how to regulate her emotions. She, had decided that it was for the best for me not to live there anymore. And so when I was 16, I actually had moved in with my boyfriend and his family. And
are you still with him?
I am still with him.
Wow.
10 years later.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Congrats.
We make 10 years July 9th. So.
Oh my gosh. Fireworks.
So through the age of 16 and on, I started living with him and his family. His family took me in, and I finished high school strong. I was very grateful enough to be able to get a full-ride scholarship to college. I went to Chapman University, double majored in sociology and psychology. And so right after college, I tried the 9-to-5 structure for about 7 months. I started off doing ABA, which I was a behavioral technician for autistic kids.
Yeah.
Did it for 7 months. I loved the job itself. I just could not do the 9-to-5 structure. It just drove me insane doing, having a set schedule Monday through Friday. And I just know I wanted a lot more flexibility. And additionally, I feel like the amount that we were getting paid per hour was not contingent to the work that we were putting in, you know? And so I knew then, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And so that's when I transitioned to fitness. And a lot of people, you know, ask me like, you know, how long have you been, you know, working out? And honestly, I started training when I was, I want to say 14 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got my first membership at LA Fitness.
Nice. Were you in sports too?
I was in sports. I did track and cross country. So prior to even strength training, I was already a runner, and then I transitioned into balancing it out with strength training. So you know, then and on, I was always in the gym, and I would always get told like, Celine, you're so, you know, you're good. You know, when I would have work out with my friends would always tell me, you should be a trainer. Like, you are really good at what you do. And so, and I remember through college and even after the 7 months being at that job, I would always think like, I really want to be a coach. Like, I really, really want to do it. But I think for me, I was just freaking out because, you know, when you start your own business, it's scary because you just don't know if it's going to work out or not. You know, especially in your 20s, you're doing it's all trial and error. Trial and error. And then I remember, gosh, the year. It was 2022 or 2023. I don't remember the years. In January, it was a new year. And I'm like, I need to do something different. And I remember one night, and this is unprofessional, by the way. Like, I'm someone that would never last minute just quit. Usually you would put in your 2 weeks and you work your last 2 weeks. I didn't do that. I remember I just had this heavy heart of like, I just need to let go of this job and pursue this other career path for myself. And so I wrote a very professional email. I emailed it out, and I didn't show up the next day. And then it was the next day I signed up for NASM and got my certification. And then once I did get my cert, my next step was, okay, I've never, besides working out with my friends and working out by myself and with my boyfriend, like, I've never done a personal training job. So I knew I wanted to start off at a gym first, a commercial gym. But my options were very like specific. Either doing like higher end gyms like Lifetime, Equinox, where the demographics, you know, here. Exactly. So I remember I found out Equinox was hiring, and I submitted an application, and I ended up being in a group interview of 12 other trainers going, you know, trying to, you know, be at Equinox. And I was sitting in the group interview, and everyone's saying their credentials, and me having a completely different background, hearing everyone in like their experience in coaching, I was just like, oh my God, I'm not going to get this job. Like, there's no way. I have no experience. And, you know, I took it with a grain of salt. I still stayed, and I was present. And the next day I get a call saying, Celine, we would love to offer you a coaching position. I'm like, let's go. What? Come to find out, I was the only one in that 12 that was hired for the Equinox Sports Club in Irvine. Out of all the people they could have hired, it was me. And so I had to ask. Did they say why? Yeah. And I asked. I was like, I was very transparent. I'm like, on the phone, I was like, are you sure? Like, hearing all the other coaches and their credentials, I felt like I was the least qualified. And for them, it was my emotional intelligence. Nice. That stood out to them. And so I guess double majoring in sociology and psychology did help after all. It paid off. It literally paid off. So yeah, I was at Equinox for my very first personal training job. And my first year there, my retention was really good. And that's when I knew, like, okay, 1 year, my retention's good. This is kind of through COVID too, right? Yes, this is actually through COVID. And that's when I made that next step. I was like, okay, I had some cushion at Equinox, but I'm like, we're going to make myself even more comfortable. Let's take this private. Like I said, the goal for me was I don't want to be stuck working for someone else and on their time. I want to do my own thing, have my own schedule. So then that's when I started touring gyms, and I heard of Live Alpha through a friend. And then, so I was eyeing this gym for the first, for a while.
This place is beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God,
We're
it's
blessed.
like paradise.
We're super blessed.
So
you heard about the gym.
I heard about the gym. I finally came and toured it, and I fell in love. I was like, this is it. Yeah. So then last year, May was when May 1st was my first month here, and so I've been here now private for 1 year.
Good job.
And honestly, the best decision I could have made for myself. And obviously, starting a business is hard and it's not easy, but I really believe in what you put in is what you get out. And I think in the first year, just pouring into my clients, pouring into myself, doing my first bodybuilding show has really played out for my business. And I do plan on doing another show projected to be either October or November. So I'll be going into prep in 2 weeks. I'm excited.
Oh, wow.
But yeah,
this is amazing. I've had multiple questions pop up, but you had such a beautiful story. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, go ahead.
So you said your mom was a big part of your life. You learned a lot of lessons from her. Why do you think she kind of associated herself with the wrong people? Like, what have you learned about that?
Great question. I think it's learned behavior. I really think it had a lot to do with her upbringing and what she saw as a kid. So she didn't know any better. She didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like.
So she had some probably like childhood trauma.
Absolutely. She has childhood trauma. And so I get asked, a lot to this day, like, Celine, what is your relationship with your mom right now? And I feel like as of right now, today, in this moment, I would say my relationship with her is pretty solid. I will say the last few years were not always solid, especially when she had, decided that it was for the best for me not to live at home anymore. I think it put a huge strain on our relationship. And I felt like I just couldn't see my mom the same. I never understood, until, just reflecting and thinking and really trying to understand her and her trauma and how this could have projected into my life. And, and that's the reason why I have forgiven her for, what has happened. And I don't hold anything against her. And I know that at the end of the day, she did the best she could. And, one thing I'll always be grateful for is her taking me away from my real father, because had I still been with him, culturally, by 16, I would have had kids. I would have had an arranged marriage. I would have been wearing a hijab because he was trying to convert my mom and I into Muslim religion.
Wow.
He wanted us to wear a hijab, and that's something my mom did not want for me. And so that is something that I'm forever grateful for, because I would not be here, a businesswoman, having my own business, let alone going to college. Right. If it wasn't for her.
And you're in a beautiful area to do so. But you said, like, you forgave her. Like, I know people talk about that quote that's saying, forgive and forget.
Yeah.
Do you forget, or do you forgive and then kind of remember that it happened? How do you approach it?
That's a great question. You obviously can never forget everything that you've gone through in your life, especially what I've had to go through
part of your story.
With my brothers. It's a part of my story. And, at times I think about it and it's so sad, because you look at, I'll never forget when I was at Equinox and I had this mom and daughter come do a consultation with me. And I will never forget just the type of relationship they had with each other. And it hurt me because I was like, wow, like I never got to have this kind of relationship with my mom. And so there are moments like that where I'm just like upset, like why that couldn't be us and why my mom did this and why my mom did that. But then, at the end of the day, you go through things in your life and it shapes you to who you are today. And so, I'm grateful to have gone through everything I went through, because...
Did you hear me?
What'd you say?
I said, was that a pun? Because we work out like
I know.
All right. I'll stop talking. But it does shape you. You're so right.
It's crazy because I get perceived so differently.
Yeah.
Like day in and day out.
Yeah, I want to know.
And what I mean by that is, you look at me from afar, let's say at the gym or just somewhere in public, and all you see this well put together white girl, blonde hair, pretty, you know, drives a decent car, and like you're gonna just
You're your own hype woman, it sounds like too, by the way.
What was that?
I said you're your own hype woman.
Yeah, you
gotta be,
you
right?
have to be.
No, you should.
In the
you
fitness
should.
industry, you really have to be.
Yeah.
You are a walking billboard for your business. Like you have to really show that confidence, you know, because that's what's going to motivate your clients.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, a lot of them are coming in with trying to work on their confidence and trying to work on their self-esteem. So you have to be the one to show them what that looks like, being a very confident person.
100%.
Especially for all my female girls, you know.
Is that who you basically train? More females or males, or like what's your focus
I train females and males, but as of right now in my business, I am training predominantly all females with you know an exception of females clients. Yeah. And
like usually it's Orange County. They want a big butt and a slim waist, right? So
yeah, exactly.
You're in the right area.
Yeah.
No, but you said a lot of things, so I want to unpack a couple things. How would you go back, like listening to your story with your mother, your fathers that came in and out of your life? How would you go back? Would you do anything differently for yourself? Like how you responded to situations?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Yeah, you think about it.
I don't think I would do anything differently. I think everything happened for a reason, and it is that's why I'm here right now, because
the universe makes no mistakes.
It literally doesn't. As I'm 25, going to be 26 this week, actually. I'm getting old.
What?
Yeah, I turned 26 on Wednesday.
What do you want for your birthday?
Wow. Honestly, to just continue being healthy, grow my business, be impactful to my audience, to my clients. But that's all I could really wish for.
Okay, we got to talk to the audience. Everybody gets Celine a birthday gift, all right?
What?
What do you want? You got to tell them. What do you want? Ferrari?
No. You know, I'm not really a materialistic person.
What kind of person are you?
I would, you know.
Seems like you're super relentless, and you adapt. Like there's a quote, there's a saying that it's not the strong that survive, it's the people that adapt that survived. And it seems like you've done that throughout your whole life.
I've had to adapt a lot of times, especially as a kid. Being the older sibling, I had to kind of be the one to take care of my brothers, you know, as a kid. And, you know, when my mom had to go to work, I remember her telling me, like, hey, make sure you and your brothers find something to eat, you know. My stepfather did what he could, but it was never enough, honestly. Like, kind of looking in retrospect, whatever his reasons were for not working, he didn't work. At least he worked at the beginning when my mom first met him, and then after that, I don't know what happened. But I had to be the one to kind of just take care of my brothers, feed them. I did all the chores. When laundry was done, I put the laundry away. Like I can't even recall a time where I got to be a kid. And so that's why when people meet me, they're like, you're so much mature. Like you're not a typical girl living her 20s life. Like a lot of people don't know this. I've never had a phase of party. Never. I've never had a phase where I got to go party every weekend or go here or go there. All I remember in my early 20s and even now is just survival mode. For me, it was breaking the cycle of homelessness and breaking, you know, other cycles within my family. So getting through college and then after finding, you know, paving my career pathway, and even to this day now I'm like doing bodybuilding. Like it just doesn't stop. I'm doing one thing after another because I want to be able to get to a point where unfortunately my mom and my younger brother still live in the same motel up the street from my high school, and so my goal is to be able to one day give my mom keys to a home that she can you know,
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How can I help you support that goal?
Great question, honestly. Honestly, just like, I don't know, like.
You can think about it. That's fine.
Well, I'm a coach here in Live Alpha, Newport Beach,
Newport
California.
Mesa,
So, you know, it'd be, you know, any woman and men, you know, struggling with mental health, struggling with self-esteem, confidence, and you're just trying to figure out what change you need in your life. I promise you, getting into fitness and working on yourself is going to be the best change that you need. The moment you start working on yourself and working on, you know, your confidence and your self-esteem, it is going to bleed into the rest of your life, where opportunities all of a sudden start coming to you, and you're like, wow. You know, like we say, when we work out, when you know you look good, feel good, you have a good workout, it's the same idea in life. When you know you look good, feel good, it translates into you live good, you have a good lifestyle. And my life started falling into place the moment I started working on myself. I could have easily victimized myself and could have gone down the route of doing drugs, drinking, you name it. I grew up being around prostitution. For all I know, I could have been a prostitute for the way I grew up. And
what's that street in Compton? You know which one I'm talking about?
Figueroa Street? Yeah.
I was Uber driving back in the day. I went down that street and I was like, what is this? Like, there's just females walking around in dresses. And I was like, why are they coming up to my car? Then the Uber passenger told me so. I never went back there. But anyway, what I want is back to a serious point. It seems like you have a lot of confidence. So I want to do a clip for social media. What's the number one tip you would recommend to instill confidence in people? Or for somebody to instill confidence in themselves?
The number one. Okay. Okay, great question. Yeah. Repeat it again one more time.
Yeah, I got you. What's your number one tip to instill self-confidence?
Start with working on yourself. Whether it's leaning on, and two, you are who you surround yourself with, right? So if you're surrounding yourself with people who go clubbing and do this and do that, just bad habits, I promise you, it's not going to work out.
So you don't do any clubbing or anything?
No.
You don't drink? You don't do drugs?
No, none. You know what's so crazy? A club actually is giving me a table and a bottle service this Thursday. And I'm like, birthday? I don't even know how to act because I never do those things. And so they gave me a flyer and they put like a little picture of me on it. And I'm like, I don't even know how, because a lot of people know I don't do that. But I was like, you know what? You only live once. And I feel like I'm in a place where I can treat myself to that, right? I really believe in work hard now, have fun later. Yeah. And so,
Wait, is it going to be a golden birthday? Hold on, what's the date today?
It's on July 3rd.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think for the first step is you need to clean up your circle. You need to surround yourself with people who are going to support you in the changes you're trying to make for your life. You know, for example, if you're someone that's trying to, cut out a drug addiction, you need to stop hanging out with those people who have that addiction themselves. If you try to cut it and you're trying to change yourself, but you're still around that group, you're going to relapse. There's no doubt about it.
I have a question. How do you go about cutting the bad people out of your circle in life?
Oh, I mean, it's hard. You just string and snip. There's nowhere.
Tell them, hey,
you're just honest. Say, I feel like I'm reaching a point in my life where I want to take a different direction. And, with taking this different direction means I have to leave my old life behind. Unfortunately, leaving behind those certain friends who are a part of that old life. Right. As they say, you can't enter your new life without willing to leave your old life behind. Yeah. If you try to leave bits and pieces of your old life trying to get into, it's just, it's not going to work out. In the way that it's just not aligned. And so, like I mentioned, to, move on and, make those changes in your life, you just have to be willing to cut those people out, and it's hard for some people. Yeah, it's really hard.
But what makes it easier for some people? If they don't go clubbing, they don't do drugs, alcohol, they don't stay up super late or whatever. What would you recommend for a person like that wants to be aligned with their new life?
See, that's tough because.
Well, what do you do? I mean, you could just tell me what you do, right?
That's a great question. Yeah. For the longest time, I used to think there was something wrong with me because my Friday nights would be me at the gym while I would go on my Instagram stories and certain, mutual friends of mine are doing this and doing that. I'm like, it would kind of, maybe I was having FOMO for a second. Yeah. But then I've learned that what you enjoy is going to be different what others enjoy. Yeah. And
that's why I always tell people, find your frequency. Do what works best for you, right?
Absolutely. Do what works best for you. And even if you have those moments where you're doubting yourself for a second, you're like, am I where I need to be in my life? I promise you, you are. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And honestly, I personally believe that the moment people think you're weird or because you don't drink or you don't party, it means you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people are willing to.
But how do you get past that? Because, like, when you're in the moment, you're like, is there something wrong with me? I feel like weird, out of place. Like, how do you get past it?
Surrounding yourself with the same people.
Yeah.
Honestly, coming here to Live Alpha and being surrounded by Tomas and Paco and Anna and you, and just like, I feel like I've really found my sense of community. I think up until like before, a lot of people don't know this, I used to do a lot of modeling gigs through an ex-best friend of mine, and we did music videos and photo shoots, and I knew in that moment, I was like, this is just not it. This is not my community. It was not aligning. And I remember just being frustrated, not being able to be where I felt like I belonged. And now I can actually say I am where I belong. And it took years, honestly, of just focusing on myself and trusting the process that things will fall into place.
Yeah, 100%. So like when you're doing that, trusting the process, does religion or spirituality come into play?
Great question. So I'm Christian. Now, I don't go to church every Sunday. I did growing up, but you know, as of now, I do have faith and I do believe in God. I live my life in a way, what would God do? I'm really, like I said, very faithful. Is your partner like that too? Yes and no.
Yeah.
I feel like when I've asked him about like the idea of like going to church to kind of not only, you know, have a little more structure, you know, in our relationship, but to bring us closer together, I think he's been a little bit more.
So it's a process.
It's a process. But I do think that I don't know what I would do if God wasn't in my life. Honestly, in a moment you ask yourself, like, why would God do this to me? Especially during your trials and tribulations. And then later on in life, you live life and then you reflect and you're like, God had his purpose and he knew what he was doing, you know? And as the saying is, you know, he gives, how does it, you know, he gives the hardest life to his toughest soldiers. Or, you know,
you got it.
And I feel like now everything's kind of making sense. Like all my struggles. It's all making sense now.
Are you flexing on us right now?
No.
Is that what you're doing? I think she was flexing on us.
You know, this is why I'm wearing my sweater. Because if you go on my Instagram, Celine _Oezkan, you're gonna be like, whoa, like, because a lot of people ask me like, you know, what are your goals in like fitness and stuff? And honestly, for me, it's to integrate, for one, mental health and physical health. I feel like to really live a good and healthy lifestyle, both of your health, your physical and your mental health need to be aligned. And secondly, in a female perspective, a lot of girls these days get scared to put on muscle. And so for me, my niche is Gym Barbie. It's on my Instagram, Gym Barbie. And it's to be able to show females that you can still be feminine, beautiful, wear your makeup with muscle. It doesn't need to always be so masculine.
I like that. Wear your makeup with muscle.
Yeah. And that's the reason why when I walk into a gym, like I feel eyes on me. And it's because they're like, okay, this girl's pretty, but she's jacked. Like I've had people come up to me and say, you're so jacked. And at the beginning, I used to be a little bit embarrassed. I'm like, oh, like I don't want to be jacked. That's too masculine, you know? But I've learned to embrace it, that you know, you can still be a Barbie, a Latina Barbie, a German Barbie, whatever Barbie you want to be, a Bratz doll, like just own it, honestly, just own it.
What about this? I hear this all the time with girls and they're like, no, I'm serious. Like, they're like, well, I don't want to get too bulky. I don't want too much muscle. What would you tell that girl?
That's a great question. To be transparent, the only way that you would get very bulky is if you decided to get enhanced.
Yeah.
I think naturally, it would have to take them years and like just a different type of lifestyle to get very bulky like that.
Right.
Because there are some female clients that I've trained for over a year and they're not bulky at all.
Yeah.
Like you won't get bulky. I
Right.
promise.
What's your number one tip for a female to lose stubborn fat?
Ooh, great question. Honestly, I'm going to be very honest. I think, and this topic is so controversial about cardio.
Yeah.
Because there are some girls, they're like, well, I'm not.
Orange Theory girls.
What would you say?
The Orange Theory girls.
Yes, yes.
Running.
I think the way to really balance out your fitness goals, aside from just the strength training, is pairing it with cardio. A lot of people think they don't need to do cardio, even if, let's say, you're already fit. I do cardio even to this day. In bodybuilding, when you're a prep, you do cardio. There's a reason why we do cardio. And also, too, it depends on, when are you timing of your cardio, whether you're doing fasted or post cardio. That's when your body is in a state of being able to burn fat. But honestly, if you're really trying to lose that stubborn fat, you got to get on that Stairmaster, get on that treadmill. And I want to say 5 to 6 days a week. Like, honestly.
Are you running on the treadmill or walking? Or
you can do, a lot of people don't know this, but you can still do low intense cardio while still being able to burn fat. There is no need for you to be running and sprinting on the treadmill. That's not necessary at all.
So walking, incline or decline?
Great question. Yeah. Incline, obviously, like most common speed is 3.5, but at least getting your heart rate to at least 135 or above to be in a state of burning fat.
Yeah. 100%. That's good. Females, listen up. And you know her handle. She dropped it earlier. This is called the Keep Going podcast. So I want to know what keeps you going.
Ooh.
So you can take it business, personally, what you want in life.
What keeps me going? That's a good question. It's like when you wake, like what's the reason you get out of bed, right?
Take it however you want.
I want to say it has to be,
Like I know example, like you said, I want to buy my mom a house.
Yeah, honestly, I want to get to a point where I'm providing a lifestyle for my mom, especially my mom, myself, my future kids. I want to have kids. I want to be a mom, and I want to be able to give them a lifestyle that I didn't get to have when I was a kid. And I think that's what really keeps me going, is just my future family and envisioning what that looks like and what it's going to take to get there. And I think that's the reason why I work as hard as I do, because I will be damned if I ever have to hop my family from one motel to another, or shelter to shelter. Like, when we were living in shelters, we were literally sleeping on floor mats next to strangers. And I would never want to put my kids through that. Yeah. Was
it worth it?
I mean, I would say it was, because that is why I'm so humble. A lot of people get surprised, when they start to talk to me and get to know me. They're like, wow, Celine, you're such a humble person. And it's just the way I lived, and my hardships are, allowed me to be very humble and grateful for, what I have. I didn't get my first pair of Nike shoes until I was 16 years old. Very first pair of Nike shoes, which it was my boyfriend who bought me my very first pair. I grew up wearing donation clothes, donation shoes, Walmart, 99-cent store.
And when you're building this epic life, like you want to have kids, you want to have a house. What like in 5 years from now, what do you want? 10 years from now, what do you want?
I mean, I've been asked this long term. I want to get to a point where I'm opening up my own private gym. Secondly, I want to be able to have certain contracts with certain brands. I really, really, really want to.
What's a brand that you want to work with? What's a brand that you want to work with?
Top of my head, Gymshark is one. And then also, like, there are other brands like Peach Bums, Bombshell Sportswear. These are brands, I love their gym clothes. And just looking at the models, and I tell myself one day I'm going to be on their website.
Put the camera on me. Everybody watching this video right now, get Celine a Gymshark brand deal. Blow it up. Look at her face. Smile. She's ready. Ben Francis, you're the owner, CEO. You need Celine the Dream on your team.
Celine the Dream, that's such a sweetheart. You're so sweet.
You might have to switch your handle now.
I know, it's Celine the Dream, right? But yeah, so be really involved in the fitness industry, and I want to be an inspiration to my audience. Like that's like I always thought like I thought growing up I was going to be a motivational speaker and be able to share my story, but I think being able to share it through fitness is like something.
Who's your favorite motivational speaker? Let me get that on camera actually. Who's your favorite motivational speaker?
That's a tough one.
Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Pedro, Sandy Priscilla, Grant Cardone, Jesse Itzler, Gary Vee. Like, there's a bunch, right?
There's a bunch.
Could be female too. Sarah Blakely, Kim Perrell, Elena Cardone, Hermosi, Layla Hermosi.
I'll have to get back to you on that one. Is
there a quote that you live by?
Yeah, there actually is.
What is it? What's your quote?
Treat others how you would want to be treated. I really live by that line. The way I treat others, and some people might say, Celine, why are you too kind? Why are you so kind to the person that's so mean? And it's just at the end of the day, I just treat others how I would want to be treated. You know, no matter how they treat me, you know, I always say kill them with kindness. And some people might disagree with me and say, why would you do that? They don't deserve that kindness from you. But we live in such a cruel world as it is. Why are you going to add to that, you know, fire? You know, be that 1% that's going to be different and kill, you know, the people. You know, going back to, you don't know what their trauma is. You don't know their story. You don't know, maybe they've never been shown kindness, and that's the reason they respond and act the way they do. And that's the only way they know.
Maybe they just don't know what kindness is. They just
don't know what kindness is until one day someone shows them a piece of kindness where it literally impacts and changes their life forever. I've heard numerous stories of people sharing a point in their life where everything changed. Yeah. And it could have been that one person who gave them that chance, that one person that was kind to them and shown them that they're human and, you know, that they're visible. And
so you're that one person for some people, right?
I would hope so. I would hope so, yes.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping it up, but anything that we can do to support and show you love, drop your handles now.
Well, it's Celine_Oezkan. Do I spell it out or?
On Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, you can spell it out. Go ahead.
So it's Celine_Oezkan. So CELIN 3 E's _Oezkan OEZKA and 2 N's.
Put it even on the camera. Why not? Here, you hold it. People can find you, right? He can zoom in. Perfect. Look at that.
And for like I mentioned, for anyone that's in this point in their life where they want that change, but don't know how to start, let me be the person to help you with that start. Shoot me a message, and it doesn't even have to be personal training. Maybe you're not ready for that yet, but you just need someone to talk to and seek advice, and I'm here for it. So please message me, and I want to be able to be a part of that change for you and part of that new circle that you're trying to surround yourself with.
Wow, I love it. Be the change you want to see in the world. It's such an inspiration. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Keaton, for having me. I appreciate you.
Stay tuned for more. All right.